Hey everyone, we're going to cover surface area of prisms, rectangular and triangular. I'm going to do everything that I can to cover rectangular in one video and try to do triangular in the other. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So first thing we need to be able to do is identify our bases. Remember, on a prism, there's two identical bases with lateral faces in between. Okay, so on here, notice the bases may be on the sides, may be on the top and bottom, but we need to be able to identify our bases and note that our height is the space in between connecting the two identical bases. Okay, so jumping into our formulas, we have lateral surface area, which is everything except for the base. So think no bases. Okay, and that formula is perimeter of the base times height. So P for perimeter of base, H for height of the prism. Okay, we'll get into what the other height is for triangular prisms later, but for now, this is the only height we're worried about. So in our own words, that would be the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism, multiplication. Okay, now what do we notice about the total surface area versus lateral? Well, lateral total surface area includes lateral. So this right here is lateral surface area plus the area of the base times 2. Because remember, big B, like in volume, big B is area of the base. So the same variables are included: perimeter of the base, height of the prism, and now area of the base. So if we look at this formula, this says perimeter of the base times height of the prism plus 2 times the area of the base. Okay? So this is the verbal of what we're doing, and now we'll get into some practice of what we actually need to do. So if we go into number one, we have, they want us to name the figure. Well, the shape of the base names the shape. This is a square or a rectangle, so we're going to call this a rectangular prism. I'm not going to write the name down because really we're practicing on identifying our base, right? And then labeling, right? So H is the space between the bases. The space between the base and this one happens to be 8, so 8 centimeters. And our perimeter, if I had to draw and take the base off, would be a square, which is a 5 by 5 square, like this. So the perimeter of my square would be 5 times 4, which is 20 centimeters. And then the area of my base would be 5 times 5, which is 25 centimeters squared. Okay, so we have everything we need now to be successful in finding our surface area, both lateral and total. So if we look at the top, we have lateral surface area, which is P times H, and total, which is P times H plus 2B. Okay, when I plug in all in numbers, I have them all here, and this is a good strategy to label. So then I just put them in my formula for later, and I'll bring my calculator up here so you can have a visual. But we have 20 times 8. So 20 is P times 8. I'm not going to use a calculator for that one because 20 times 8 is 160. And that's 160 square centimeters. Okay. And then this is my lateral surface area. So I'm just going to put this up here: 160 plus 2 times 25. 2 times 25 is 50. So just to double check, 160 plus 2 times 25. It's 210. So 210 centimeters squared. So the difference between total surface area and lateral surface area, notice one is way bigger than the other. Well, not way bigger, but it is bigger. It's considerable. So make sure you're paying attention to what they're asking for so we know one requires more information than the other. Okay? So on to the next one. Number 2. We have a rectangular prism again. We need to be able to identify our bases. So in this case, these are my 2 bases here. Okay. And this is my space between the base. So this is my H. So H is 11. And then if I have to take this square apart or rectangle apart, this is going to be 3 and 4. So B for this one is going to be 3 times 4, which is 12 inches squared. Height is 11 inches. And P would be 6 plus 8, which would be 14. So now that we have all our numbers that we need to put into our equation, we're going to rewrite our formula just so we can have it. pH and pH plus 2b. So P is 14. Okay, H is 11. So we're going to do 14 times 11. And that is 154 inches squared. That's my lateral surface area. Okay, and you can see that in the corner over here. And then if 154 is my lateral surface area, 154 plus 2 times 12, which is 24. So 154 plus 24 is 178. Okay, so 178 inches squared is my total surface area. So once again, pH plus 2b is for total, pH is for lateral, and there's no base included. Okay, so on to the next page. We'll get some more practice in. We've got our notes. We've practiced identifying the different formulas. So let's get into a couple of practice problems. Notice it says find the lateral surface area. So we underline that word because lateral surface area tells me what I need. S equals pH. Okay? So what we're going to do first is we're going to shade our bases. And I can tell that the bases on this one happen to be our top and bottom. They won't always be, but on this one they are. So our shape of our base is a 13 by 6 rectangle. So we know that P would be 26 plus 12. And just double check your math. You have 26 plus 12. And that equals 38. So P is 38. And H is the space between the bases. So H is right there. H is 14. And these are all in millimeters. Okay, so we know that pH is my lateral surface area. So we're going to say pH is equal to 38 times 14. And when we multiply that out, that's going to give us our lateral surface area. So 38 times 14 is equal to 532 millimeters squared. Okay, so far pretty straightforward. We label and then we plug our numbers into the formula and we should be good to go. On to the next one, number 4. Find the total surface area. So total surface area, once again, we're labeling, we're identifying our different parts. So this is our base. Remember, 2 identical bases, and the height is the space between. So H is 20, and we're going to label all of this. We know pH plus 2b is the formula we need. We know that P is something, H is 20, and B is something. So we're going to find those right now. So B is 10 times 13. 10 times 13 is 130 inches or square inches. Height is 20 inches. Perimeter is going to be 13 plus 13 plus 10 plus 10. Okay? Or 20 plus 26, which is 46. So now that we have our values, we can plug all of these into the calculator. We can also find 2b if you want. So if 1b is 130, 2b happens to be 260 because we just double it, right? So we can plug all of these numbers in and then solve. So we have 46 times 20 plus 260. Put that in our calculator, 46 times 20 plus 260. And that's going to be equal to 1,180 inches squared. Okay? If you were looking for how it would look in our formula, we would say 46 times 20 plus 2 times 130. And we can see our values where this is P, this is H, and this is B. Okay? So that is essentially all there is to finding total and lateral surface area. So let's get into another type of application where they don't tell us exactly what to do. So number 5 says, Trenton is going to close and wrap the box shown in wrapping paper. how many square feet of wrapping paper will he need? Well, if I'm wrapping a present, I want to cover the whole box. So if I'm covering the whole box, I need total surface area, which means I need pH plus 2b. Okay. We're going to assume that the box is down here. This is my base, and the top of this is my other base. So that means the space in between has got to be 3 feet. So if I do the same thing that I've been doing, where I have my pH and b, h is 3 feet. B is going to be, it's a little blurry there. There we go. B is 2.5 times 2.5. So we're going to do that in a calculator to double check. That's going to be 6.25 or 2.5 squared. So the base is a square. And then the perimeter, if I had to draw a face out so you can see it, would be 2.5, 2.5, and you do that 4 times. So 2.5 times 4 is 10. Perimeter is 10. So yeah, feet squared and then feet. These are my correct units. So now I put everything together in pH plus 2b form, and that says 10 times 3, plus 2 times 6.25. This will give me my total surface area. So 10 times 3 plus 2 times 6.25, as you can see in my calculator, and I'll push enter. That gives me 42.5 square feet. 42.5 square feet. And that's all you have. So once again, label and shade in your bases, and then you should be able to find our perimeter by adding the sides. The area of our base, in this case, is a rectangle, length times width, and then we plug the numbers into the formula, which this is P, this is H, and this is B. And then we should be able to calculate pretty simply. Okay? Last question, and we wrap up. Remember, if you like this, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe, please. Share this with whoever might need it, and then look out for more content. Okay? Triangular prisms is coming up next. So on this one, we need to find the total surface area of the rectangular prism. First, we need to find our bases. So if I were to say this is my base, because it is, then that tells me, and I'm going to do my work over here, P, H, and B. That means B is 18, H is 7, and P is going to be, this is 6 and 3. That's also 18. Okay, so pH plus 2b is going to be equal to 18 times 7 plus 2 times 18. We're going to put that in our calculator and get our answer. So 18 times 7 plus 2 times 18, and push enter. And we get 162 square inches. Okay, so our answer is correct, and hers is not, because a couple of things. Her B only has one number in it. Your area, so B is the area of the base. So even if she chose this to be the area of the base, it should have been 7 times 3, which would be 21. She just put 7, and 7 times 2, so that's incorrect. Her perimeter of the base. If she was going to do perimeter of the base, she said her perimeter is 20, and so that would be 7 plus 3 plus 7 plus 3, which would be 20, and then multiply by 6. So if she was using this as our base, which it's not the correct base, she would have that, but she didn't. So make sure we label correctly. And if you need another content on how to identify where the bases and the height are, I can do that. But for now, just know that her B is incorrect. But with that, this wraps up our surface area of rectangular prisms. Be on the lookout for more content. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.